I'm Pat Riley. We are here at our South School studio here in Raynham, and our guest today is our Director of Veteran Services for the town of Raynham, Micaila Britto. Thank you for joining us, Micaila.
Thank you for having me once again.
I've been hearing great comments about all the efforts that you're putting into helping our veterans in the area.
I'm totally flattered because I just feel like I'm just doing my job like a good veteran service officer should. But it's been an amazing year.
Has it been a year already?
It will be like next month.
Oh my goodness.
So
My
I'm
goodness.
excited. There's a lot going on. I have a Veterans Expo coming up on May the 12th.
Really exciting, and everybody needs to mark their calendar for that.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that. I have gotten the town of Raynham on the Purple Heart community, Purple Heart Trail, so it designates our community as being a Purple Heart community. And I actually did that last year, but we're going to be doing a ceremony and having signs around town designating it. And I'm going to be going on an Honor Flight New England flight to Washington, D.C. with World War II veterans.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm getting to know the Raynham veterans and the Raynham community so much better now.
Excellent, very good. Just for people's information, your office is located at
Town Hall
on South Main Street.
On the first floor, and I'm there regular Town Hall hours, so Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 4:30, and then of course Tuesday nights when we have the Selectmen's meeting, and then Friday 8:30 till noon.
How can people contact you in addition to just going into your office?
Well, I have office hours the third Wednesday of the month at the Counseling on Aging, and I have my Facebook page for the Raynham Veteran Service Officers. I have the website, on the town website, we have a page dedicated to veteran services. So you can email me, and my email address is there on the page, and then my office phone number is 508-828-4527.
Very good. So what kind of reaction are you getting from people?
I'm getting a lot of positive reaction. I am getting some looks of surprise. There have been numerous people who've come to my office and said, "Hi, I'd like to talk to the veterans agent." And I was like, "Yeah, come on in." And they're like, "No, I'd like to speak to the veterans agent." I was like, "That would be me." And so it's the shock of me being female, and then
a veteran. You are actually a veteran.
And that I'm a veteran, and the fact that I'm so young, according to a lot of my veterans. So yes, I am a 7-year Marine Corps veteran. I served on active duty from 1987 to 1994, and I was medically retired. And it was an amazing time of my life, and I treasure it. And I still am in very close contact with a lot of people that I was stationed with. And it's one of those things where you meet another Marine, whether you've been stationed with them or not, and you have that instant bond. And I'm finding it now as the veteran service officer that as I'm meeting other veterans and they find out that I'm a veteran, we have that instant bond also.
Absolutely, very good. As one of our favorite Marines in town, retired Chief Peter King, always says, "Once a Marine,
always a Marine." Yes. So like I had said in our opening, I will be hosting the Southeast Massachusetts Veterans Expo on Saturday, May the 12th. And we'll be having it at Raynham Middle School. It's the first time that it's going to be here, held here in Raynham. It'll be from 10 until 2. It's open to the public, to any veteran, their family member, any National Guardsman or reservist. We'll have agencies from the federal, state, and local, and then a lot of nonprofit organizations that help with the betterment of veterans and or their families. So come on out. Get any and all information that you want or need at one-stop shopping. So it's almost like a job fair, but for veterans, and for any benefit that you might be entitled to. So I'll have VA Boston Healthcare System, and I've also invited VA Providence, because our regional office for this area is the Providence regional office.
Now, was this an annual event? You mentioned the first time in Raynham. Is it usually held in different places?
Well, so VA Boston tries to hold it every year. Last year was in Middleborough, and I assisted Middleborough Veteran Service Officer Jason Cox, who's a Marine also. And I helped him with his event, and I said that I was going to bring it here to Raynham, and he sort of laughed at me, but lo and behold,
happening.
it's happening. So, because I think they were expecting to host it down there in Middleborough again this year, but I wanted to be able to bring all this to our residents. And yes, I might have been a little bit ambitious because I had just been on the job for a week when I told Jason that. And so here we are a year later, and we're bringing it here to Raynham.
Had you been involved in anything like this before? Micaila, obviously, as you said, you were a veteran, but had you worked in veteran services prior to this? Because you seem to have hit the ground running.
Well, as you know, you personally know, I worked at the federal VA at VA Boston Healthcare System for about 5 years. I was a program coordinator and a program support assistant. And then I've also been working on the Massachusetts Women Veterans Network Steering Committee. I've been on there since 2012. And that is to help with the betterment and enrichment of women veterans across the Commonwealth, no matter what your age or era, whether you be peacetime or a war veteran. We try to bring as much as we can to light so that women know what's out there for them, because a lot of women don't realize that they are veterans, especially the older peacetime Vietnam and Korea. They don't really refer to themselves as veterans. They say, oh yes, I served, but they don't, because of the way that they were treated when they first got out. But a matter of fact, the weekend after my expo is the 10th annual Women Veterans Conference, and it's going to be held up at Fort Devens Commons. There's an Eventbrite link that you can go to that you can register for. And like I said, it's the 10th annual conference, so we have some amazing people. Ayla Brown will be there to sing the national anthem. Brigadier General, oh, I'm so sorry, her name, Rear Admiral Blumenthal will be there. So it's...
Will you be attending?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Since I'm on the committee, I will be there bright and early helping out. Several of my dear friends are partaking as either a presenter or just getting involved with other things behind the scene. I will be doing a lot of photography work while I'm there.
Okay. I would assume that probably part of your job, in addition to meeting with veterans in the area, is also finding out what benefits are available. They sometimes change legislation referring to veterans and so forth.
So as far as that goes, I belong to the Massachusetts Veteran Service Officers Organization. It's all the VSOs from across the Commonwealth, and we hold 3 conferences. 2 of them are by our organization itself, and then 1 is held with the Department of Veteran Services. So one's in February, June, and October. So we're constantly training, and we get directives that are pushed down to us from Mass Department of Veteran Services constantly. It's unique in the fact that even though I am hired and paid by the town, I actually have to follow all our state and federal regulations. So it gets a little bit complicated at times, but I enjoy my job and it's very challenging. And a lot of times if I don't know an answer, I'm not afraid to reach out and ask questions. I'm looking forward to, in May, Senator Pacheco will be hosting a Veterans Forum in his office. I believe it's going to be in his office in Taunton. I'm not sure. As soon as I get more details to it, I will let you know. But the chair people for the Joint Veterans Affairs for the state legislature will both be there. So it'll be a forum for all of us to find out different information about what's going on with new legislation that they're passing for the Commonwealth.
You mentioned a lot of people don't realize they are considered a veteran. Is there some particular guideline? Who is considered a veteran? Anyone who has served?
So there are different guidelines.
Okay.
I have the definition of what a veteran is at the office, but you have to have served at least 180 days active duty, not to include training time.
Okay.
So if you are a National Guardsman or a reservist and you don't have active duty time or have been called up for an event, then unfortunately a lot of times they don't qualify for certain benefits, but there are some things that they still do qualify for. So it all depends on when you served, how long you served. So It varies.
Do you find many of the people that come to you are just looking for information that you may be able to access that they don't know where to turn to?
Yeah, a lot of people do. They've come to me, or they're looking for their discharge paperwork. So as long as they had been active duty, there's going to be a DD 214, their discharge papers that I would be able to have access to through an online program if you're a Massachusetts resident before you joined and then after you came home. Anything else, we can go through the National Archives and request copies of it. Same thing with a reservist, we can actually request copies through the National Archives.
Do you have to be a veteran to be the veteran agent?
Yes, you do. It's part of the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 115, which oversees everything that my office does. It states that you must be a veteran in order to be the veteran service officer, and it has several different guidelines in there that we follow. We help with financial assistance for veterans who aren't who are economically challenged.
Sure.
So, and then those are funds that are actually reimbursed to the cities and towns from the Commonwealth. 75% to the dollar that we pay out.
Sounds like you're a very busy lady.
Yes, but I enjoy it. It's a challenge, and it's so much fun getting to know each person who comes into my office, and each person is different, and the challenges are very unique, but at the same time, a lot of them are the same.
Absolutely. I know that you were nominated for a very important award within the last year. Tell us about that.
Yes, I was nominated to be the Massachusetts Outstanding Female Veteran of the Year. Unfortunately, somebody else got it.
But just being nominated is an honor.
Yes, it is. The woman who won it, her name is Jay Barrows, and she is actually a nurse practitioner a registered nurse at VA Boston Healthcare, and she was a Vietnam-era nurse. And so she served over there in Vietnam as a nurse, and phenomenal woman, and she's part of the women's health program there at VA Boston, so I know her personally and professionally, so I was thrilled just to be in the same category as her.
Excellent, very good. Tell us a little bit more about this expo. As you said, any veterans, members of the military, obviously, and their family members encouraged to attend to find out what information is available, what benefits might be available that they may not be aware of.
So I will have different people from VA healthcare. There's three sides to federal VA. You have your healthcare side, your benefit side, and the cemetery system. So the cemetery system is Bourne National Cemetery. And each state has at least one national cemetery. So there are different regulations to be buried there. If you're married, your spouse can be buried there, or if your only child had passed away while on active duty, a parent can be buried there, or something to that effect. There's different regulations for it. You can check out to see what your eligibility is. So we'll have benefits to learn about education, home loans, stuff like that. And then of course we'll have the healthcare people who will tell you how to utilize the system, say for eyeglasses or just regular general health or having hearing tests. And then I'll have from the state side, I'll have somebody from the Department of Veteran Services there. I'll have the SAVE team, which is the statewide advocacy program for veterans. I'll also have the Mass Women Veterans Network there. We'll have somebody from the Treasurer's Office and the Attorney General's Office, because there's different bonuses that are that you're entitled to if you deployed. And then I'll have some local, so I'll have a table there, and hopefully anything else that I can find from the local level will be there on my table. And then I'll have some different nonprofit organizations such as Hydraria for Heroes. Hopefully Homes for Our Troops will be there. I have a gentleman who does fly fishing. So there's all these different things that'll be there that are there to help veterans and or their families.
Excellent. And it's so important too, just for the veterans to connect with each other too.
Yes. That's kind of one of the key. One of the key things is to be able to network and support with your fellow veteran, and to learn about, because there's a lot of things that people don't realize that they're entitled to, or even think about. So come on out and find out some information and get to know everybody in the neighborhood.
What about job opportunities? You mentioned education,
Yes.
training, retraining, if veterans are young and want to still get involved in
You don't
a new
even have to be
career.
young to,
Oh, absolutely.
so
if you're not ready to retire.
right, if you're not ready to retire. Yes, I actually have Jack McKenna, who is the veterans agent at the Career Center in Taunton. I know for a fact that he'll be there, and there may possibly be a couple other of DevOps is what they're called. They're at the expo with him, and then he's reached out to, like, I know for a fact he'll have the U.S. Customs will be there. He's reached out to the state police and a couple other organizations. Matter of fact, Lowe's here in Raynham will be there because they have a special initiative for hiring veterans.
Excellent.
So there'll be a bunch of different things there.
Mm-hmm. And Micaila, I know you've done a lot of outreach and work with Lowe's. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yes, back in November, I was approached by Lowe's here in Raynham to ask me if we needed some assistance in sprucing up some of our veterans monuments and whatnot. So I teamed up with them, and we went around town and we did a facelift over at Johnson's Pond, and we went to the Monty Playground over at the soccer fields and remulched it and laid down some rubber matting. And then we replaced all the municipal flagpoles and put solar lighting on them. Nice. And built 3 different flag drop boxes. So one's stationed at the firehouse, one's at the senior center, and one's over at the transfer station. So if you have an old and tattered flag that you want to replace, you go and you put it into one of these drop boxes, and then the flag will be properly retired at a retirement ceremony, which what they do is we basically burn the flag. You don't just throw a flag away. Mm-hmm. So we do the proper ceremony for
Excellent. That's terrific to have that opportunity and know where to take them.
Right.
That is great.
But Lowe's has been great. They have helped out with a couple little things. They even came in and helped hang pictures and helped to organize my office a little bit. So it's been really great, and we have a phenomenal working relationship with them. And actually, they asked to participate with our upcoming parade on May 26th.
Also, we want to send that word out. Our 6th annual Raynham Memorial Day Parade, Saturday, May 26th. It's going to be a great event once again. You're very helpful with that and instrumental as part of our committee with that, Micaila.
I'm looking forward to it, and I've already started putting the word out to different veterans organizations and veterans in general, asking them to come on down and partake in the parade, whether they ride on the trolley or if they walk. If they have their uniform and still want to wear it, that's even better.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about being a Purple Heart community.
Yes.
Explain to us how that has come about.
So, as you know, somebody who has served during wartime and has been wounded or injured in the line of duty, they receive the Purple Heart. So there are different communities across the nation that are recognized as a Purple Heart community. So they do a little bit more, go above and beyond to recognize our Purple Heart recipients. We do have several Purple Heart recipients here in the town, and of course, Jared Monty and Brian Oliveria, who were both killed in action during the Iraq and Afghani wars, are both Purple Heart recipients. So that's one of the reasons why I went about trying to get us recognized as a Purple Heart community. So
is that a federal designation?
Yes, it is.
Program?
So it's a national. It's not so much a federal, but it's a national program. The Military Order of the Purple Hearts is a veterans organization that is there in support of any and all Purple Heart recipients. So like I said, we have several Purple Heart recipients still alive, living here in Raynham. So I wanted to be able to get recognition to them.
Sure.
And there's a thing, it's called the Purple Heart Trail. You can go out on Google and search it, and it'll come up. We're not officially on the registry, but I've sent everything that we need to have. The Board of Selectmen signed off on it back in the fall, but because of the bad weather, didn't have the opportunity to do the ceremony. So I'm hoping here this summer to have them come in. And actually, I was hoping that Purple Heart Day, which is August the 9th, I'm hoping that's when we can have our program. I'm hoping, if not around there.
That'd be terrific.
So
and
I
have a little ceremony for that.
Yes, and we'll have like street signs that'll say that we're a Purple Heart community. Nice. I actually have a couple sponsors. I actually have 2 them are Purple Heart recipients. And then, of course, the American Legion, the Lions Club, and Lowe's have all offered to help sponsor and pay for the signs so that it's not a big expense to the community.
Very nice, very nice. And we also have a recent initiative in town is with some of our street signs that John McGarry worked on,
Yes.
recognizing some of our veterans, which is so nice. And I hope as people drive around town, they pay attention to those.
So those little black and gold signs are for those who were killed in action, and they try to play. John tries to have them placed near where the person grew up or lived when they were in the service. So yeah, just take a look. They're all around town, and it's
John and I think in Eden Ferguson from the library did some research and get some information about those individuals because it's so important that we recognize them.
yeah. And actually,
They are our real heroes.
they are. Those who, like, some gave all. Sorry, all gave some, and some gave all. So anybody who served in the military has given,
Right.
and yet some of them have given up everything by giving their life and laying their life down on the line. One of the things that I do want to talk about really briefly is military suicide, and the fact that we have approximately 22 veterans or service members a day who are taking their own lives to suicide. And I just want to remind everybody out there that no matter what you're going through, to try to reach out to somebody. If you know that you have a neighbor or a loved one who's having issues with post-traumatic stress or depression, try to reach out and get some help. If you can't reach them, try to find another veteran who can talk to them, because veterans, like I was saying earlier, veterans normally connect, and being able to be there and support each other or just listen is what a lot of them need. There is
Is there a hotline, Micaila, or where
There
would you
is.
reach out for help?
So there is. The VA has a hotline, and there's also, I can't remember the phone number off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm so
There'll
sorry.
be some information about that at the expo, probably,
Yes,
right?
there is. And I have it in my office.
Right.
And there's a couple other organizations that are going to be there. 22 Kill is an organization that talks about the 22 a day, it's a national organization.
Yeah. Is it always been an issue, or is this, because we're hearing about it now, which might just be because the word about it is getting out there, or is the situation worse than it's been in the past?
I wouldn't say that it's worse than it was in
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah.
It's
We have
more
so many-
talked about.
Yeah.
It's more talked about, especially with the fact that we're still at war after 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Being able to talk about it and let people know that there shouldn't be a stigma about it.
Right.
If you have an issue with it, you need to seek help, even just to talk. It's not something that you should be ashamed of.
No, absolutely.
That no matter what, we're here and we want to support you. There's a 1-800 number. You can also go online and chat in an anonymous chat line, or you can do there's also a text message feature also.
What about support groups? I mean, obviously our local groups such as our American Legion, Post, and so forth, they have meetings. There's a way to connect with veterans.
Yes. So those are some great organizations, the American Legion, the VFW. I belong to the Marine Corps League and the Women Marines Association. And then there's always reaching out to our community vet centers. Vet centers are affiliated with the VA, but at the same time they're out in the community. So they have a little bit of a different criteria to be able to utilize it. You can be a combat veteran and bring your support system with you. So if you're my sister and I find you to be my support system, I can have you come in and receive counseling with me, or you can come in and say, hey, I have this veteran, and they can give you a little bit of information about it. And it's, like I said, it's any combat related veteran and or somebody who is a victim of military sexual trauma. So anybody like that can use the program.
And anyone who just knows, as you said, a family member or a friend that may be having difficulty, they could also reach out and see how can I help someone.
Yes.
Because that's important.
It is. And there are a few other organizations around that assist. There's the Arredondo Family Foundation is a foundation that was established in memory of both Brian and Alex Arredondo. Alex was killed in Iraq, and his brother Brian took his own life several years after, because him and his brother were very, very close. And the reason why the Arredondo family sounds so familiar is Carlos Arredondo was Cowboy Hat Man from the Boston Marathons.
Ah, okay.
So they have a phenomenal foundation to reach out and help family members who are left behind. And then there's another program called TAPS, which is a program that helps with the transition of assistance program for survivors.
So important. And if we know of any veterans in our neighborhood or whatever, to reach out to them and let them know that if they need assistance, that someone is there for them.
Yes, very much so. And the other thing is, I've noticed that I've had a lot of people who've contacted me and said, I have a veteran or I know a veteran who is suffering throughout the winter because of either lack of heat or financial situation. Don't forget, in the summer, we have to also look out for our veterans because of the heat. So making sure that they have water, making sure that they have air conditioning or whatever they might need to survive. We can't forget them.
Right, right. I don't know if our summers have gotten that much hotter, but it's almost air conditioning is as important in the summer as heat is in the winter.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So I look forward to continuing with my next year here. I can't believe it's already been a year. I look forward to meeting any and all of my veterans, especially coming in for my expo and for the parade.
Excellent. But we are just about out of time. We want to thank you very much for coming and for all of your efforts on behalf of our veterans in our town. And again, the date quickly,
May the 12th from 10 until 2 at the Raynham Middle School.
Great. Excellent. Thank you very much. Our guest today, Micaila Britto. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Inside Scoop.